They called her rifle a toy store special and laughed when she said she could hit a dime at 3 miles. What those Navy SEALs discovered about Emma Chen would shatter everything they thought they knew about precision shooting and rewrite the record books forever. The morning sun cast harsh shadows across the concrete firing range at Naval Special Warfare Training Center Coronado, where the most elite marksmen in the world came to perfect their deadly craft. Emma Chen stood at the equipment check-in desk, her slight frame dwarfed by the massive Barrett M82 sniper rifles that surrounded her like sleeping giants of war. In her hands, she held something that made the quartermaster do a double-take. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Ma'am, I think you're in the wrong place, Petty Officer Rodriguez said, trying to keep the amusement out of his voice as he stared at the rifle Emma had just placed on the counter. The civilian tour group meets at the visitor center. Emma's weapon looked like it had been assembled from spare parts in someone's garage. The stock was a patchwork of different woods, carefully fitted together with what appeared to be hand-carved joints. The barrel, while obviously precision-machined, bore none of the military specifications or manufacturer markings that adorned every other rifle in the facility. Most striking of all was the scope, a massive piece of optics that seemed disproportionately large for the rest of the rifle, mounted with custom rings that had clearly been fabricated by hand. "I'm here for the Advanced Long-Range Precision course," Emma replied quietly, sliding her registration paperwork across the counter. Her voice carried the faintest trace of an accent that Rodriguez couldn't quite place, something that suggested English wasn't her first language, but had been spoken with careful precision for many years. Rodriguez examined the paperwork with increasing confusion. Everything appeared to be in order. Emma Chen, civilian contractor, authorized for the 3-week intensive course that typically hosted only the most experienced military snipers from around the world. Her security clearance was surprisingly high, and there was a note attached indicating special authorization from someone very high up the chain of command. "Ma'am, with all due respect," Rodriguez said, his tone shifting to something more diplomatic, "this course is designed for operators with extensive combat experience. The minimum qualification standard requires documented kills at distances exceeding 1,500 meters in hostile conditions." Emma nodded patiently, as if she'd heard this conversation before. "I understand the requirements, Petty Officer Rodriguez." The way she said his name, reading it from his uniform rather than from familiarity, carried no challenge or attitude. There was something almost apologetic in her tone, as if she recognized that her presence here created an uncomfortable situation for everyone involved. She stood barely 5 feet 4 inches tall, with delicate features and hands that looked more suited to playing piano than operating precision firearms. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore civilian clothes, jeans, hiking boots, and a plain gray sweatshirt that had seen better days. Behind her, a group of Navy SEALs had finished their own equipment check and were preparing to head to the range. Chief Petty Officer Marcus Thompson, a legend in the special operations community with over 200 confirmed kills across 4 deployments, noticed the conversation at the counter and wandered over with the casual confidence of someone who owned whatever space he occupied. "What's the holdup, Rodriguez?" Thompson asked, his eyes immediately focusing on Emma's unusual rifle. "Holy shit, is that thing even functional?" The other SEALs gathered around, their conversation dying as they took in the sight of Emma and her weapon. These were men who had trained with the finest precision instruments money could buy, rifles that cost more than most people's cars, and represented the pinnacle of military engineering. What Emma held looked like something a hobbyist might cobble together from mail-order parts. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some identification of this weapon system," Thompson said, his tone carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. "That doesn't look like any approved platform I've ever seen." Emma reached into her backpack and produced a leather portfolio, worn smooth by handling. Inside were documents that made Rodriguez's eyebrows rise. The rifle was indeed custom-built, but every component had been individually tested and certified. The barrel had been manufactured by a small company in Switzerland that specialized in competition-grade precision instruments. The trigger mechanism came from a craftsman in Germany whose waiting list typically extended 3 years. Most impressive of all was the test data. Groups fired at 1,000 yards that clustered within measurements that seemed almost impossible. "Custom build," Emma explained simply. "I've been working on it for about 8 years." Staff Sergeant Mike Sullivan, Thompson's spotter, and one of the finest precision shooters in the teams, leaned in to examine the rifle more closely. What had looked crude from a distance revealed itself to be a masterpiece of careful engineering. Every joint was perfectly fitted, every surface finished to exacting standards. The wood stock, which had appeared to be a patchwork of scraps, was actually composed of different types of hardwood, selected for specific mechanical properties, and fitted together in a complex laminate that would provide superior stability and vibration dampening. "This is actually pretty sophisticated work," Sullivan admitted grudgingly. "Who built it for you?" "I did," Emma replied. The silence that followed was filled with the kind of skepticism that comes from years of experience with civilians who watched too many movies and thought they understood the complexities of precision shooting. Thompson exchanged glances with his teammates, the look that passed between them communicating volumes about their assessment of the situation. "Look, miss," Thompson said, his voice taking on the patient tone usually reserved for explaining complex concepts to children. "I don't know who authorized you to be here, but this isn't a hobby shooting class. We're training for operations where missing the target means your teammates die." Maybe there was some kind of administrative error. Emma's response was to pull out another document from her portfolio. This one made Rodriguez whistle under his breath. It was a letter of introduction from General Patricia Hayes, commander of Naval Special Warfare Command, specifically requesting that Emma be given full access to the advanced training program and that her capabilities be evaluated without prejudice. "The general knows you're coming," Thompson read aloud, his tone shifting from dismissive to confused. "She's requested a full assessment of your long-range capabilities for potential inclusion in future special operations." He looked up at Emma with new interest. "What's your background, Chen?" "Mathematics," Emma replied. "PhD from MIT. I work on ballistics modeling for defense contractors." The SEALs exchanged another look, this one carrying different implications. Defense contractors were serious business, and the kind of ballistics modeling that required PhD-level mathematics wasn't something undertaken lightly. Still, there was a vast difference between theoretical knowledge and practical application, especially under the stress conditions that characterized special operations. "Ma'am, with respect," said Petty Officer First Class David Kim, the youngest member of the team, "shooting paper targets and shooting in combat are completely different things. The math might work on a computer, but out there, wind changes, temperature fluctuates, targets move, and people shoot back." Emma nodded again, that same patient acknowledgement. "I understand." Her consistent politeness was beginning to grate on some of the SEALs. They were accustomed to the aggressive confidence that characterized most elite shooters, the kind of personality that thrived on competition and refused to back down from challenges. Emma's quiet demeanor suggested either complete naivete about what she was getting into, or a confidence so deep it didn't need external validation. "Tell you what," Thompson said, making a decision that would change everything. "Why don't we start you off with something simple? We'll head out to the 500-yard range, set up some basic precision drills, and see what you can do with that unique rifle of yours." The condescension in his voice was subtle, but unmistakable. 500 yards was considered basic proficiency for military snipers, the kind of distance that separated professionals from enthusiasts. For someone with Emma's apparent background, it represented a reasonable starting point that would quickly reveal whether she belonged in this environment or needed to be quietly redirected elsewhere. Emma gathered her equipment with the same methodical precision she demonstrated throughout the conversation. Her rifle case was another custom creation, built from aircraft-grade aluminum and foam padding that had been precisely cut to accommodate every component of her weapons system. She packed ammunition that appeared to be hand-loaded, each cartridge marked with detailed specifications in tiny, neat handwriting. The walk to the firing range took them through the heart of the training facility, past obstacles courses where future SEALs pushed their bodies to breaking points and classrooms where the most advanced military tactics were taught and refined. Emma moved through it all with quiet observation, her eyes taking in details but her expression remaining neutral. At the 500-yard range, other instructors and students began to gather as word spread about the unusual civilian who had appeared with a homemade rifle and claims of extraordinary capability. Master Chief Petty Officer James Harrison, the senior instructor for the precision shooting program, emerged from the range office with the kind of expression that suggested he'd been dealing with administrative headaches all morning. "Thompson, what's this I hear about some contractor with a toy gun?" Harrison's voice carried the authority of 3 decades in special operations and a reputation that commanded respect throughout the community. "Master Chief, this is Emma Chen," Thompson replied, his tone carefully neutral. "She's here with authorization from General Hayes for evaluation." Harrison examined Emma with the kind of assessment that came from years of evaluating human potential under extreme conditions. What he saw was a young woman who looked more like a graduate student than an operator, carrying a rifle that appeared to have been assembled from a catalog of surplus parts. Her demeanor was calm but not confident in the way he expected from people who made extraordinary claims about their abilities. "Miss Chen, I'm going to be straight with you," Harrison said. "This facility trains the finest precision shooters in the world. These men beside you have made shots in combat that saved lives and completed missions that remain classified to this day. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. If you're here, it's because someone very high up believes you have something to contribute. But belief and capability are 2 different things." Emma listened without interruption, her hands resting calmly on her rifle case. When Harrison finished, she simply nodded. "I understand, Master Chief. I'm ready to demonstrate my capabilities whenever you are." The firing line at 500 yards was equipped with electronic target systems that could measure shot placement to fractions of an inch. Wind flags dotted the range, providing real-time information about air currents that could affect bullet trajectory. The conditions were ideal for precision shooting. Minimal wind, stable temperature, clear visibility. Emma's setup process was methodical and unhurried. She unpacked her rifle with the care of someone handling a delicate instrument, checking each component before assembly. Her shooting mat was well used, but meticulously maintained, and she positioned herself with movements that spoke of countless hours of practice. The SEALs watched from behind the firing line as Emma adjusted her scope and checked her range card, a handwritten document that contained detailed calculations for various distances and conditions. Her handwriting was tiny and precise, covering every variable that could affect bullet trajectory. "What's your zero distance?" Sullivan asked, genuinely curious about her technical approach. 300 yards, Emma replied without looking up from her calculations. "I prefer to dial elevation rather than hold over." It was a professional answer that suggested real understanding of precision shooting fundamentals. The SEALs began to pay more attention as Emma completed her preparation and settled into her shooting position. Her form was textbook perfect. Prone position with natural point of aim, rifle supported by bipod and rear bag, body alignment that would minimize the effects of heartbeat and breathing on shot placement. When she acquired her sight picture, her breathing pattern shifted to the controlled rhythm that all precision shooters learned: inhale, partial exhale, natural respiratory pause, trigger press. The first shot surprised everyone, not because it hit the target, but because of how it sounded. Emma's custom rifle produced a sharp crack that was noticeably different from the booming reports of military weapons. The bullet struck the target with a distinctive ring that indicated a solid hit. "Center ring," called the range officer, studying the electronic scoring system. "X-ring, 10 o'clock, measuring 0, 3 inches from center." It was a good shot, the kind that qualified shooters made consistently at this distance. But it was just one shot. And everyone knew that precision shooting was about consistency, not individual performances. Emma fired 4 more rounds at a measured pace, each shot preceded by the same careful preparation and controlled breathing. The rifle's unusual appearance began to matter less as the pattern on the target developed. All 5 shots clustered within a circle that could be covered by a quarter, centered perfectly on the bullseye. "Group measures 0, 7 inches, the range officer announced. "Average distance from center, 0, 4 inches. The result was impressive but not extraordinary for this level of competition. Military snipers regularly achieved similar accuracy at 500 yards with quality equipment and proper training. What began to draw attention was Emma's consistency and the mechanical precision of her shooting process. "Not bad for a mathematician," Thompson said, his tone carrying grudging respect mixed with continued skepticism. "Want to try something a little more challenging?" Emma looked up from her rifle, her expression unchanged. What did you have in mind? How about we move back to 1,000 yards, Harrison suggested. That's where we separate the professionals from the hobbyists. At 1,000 yards, the dynamics of precision shooting changed dramatically. Wind became a critical factor, temperature variations affected bullet trajectory, and the margin for error disappeared almost entirely. It was a distance where mathematical understanding meant nothing without practical experience and intuitive feel for the countless variables involved. The transition to the 1,000-yard range attracted more attention from around the facility. Word had spread about the civilian contractor with the strange rifle, and instructors from other programs began to gather as observers. Emma's calm demeanor remained unchanged as she set up at the new distance, but the SEALs could see her taking more time with her calculations and environmental assessment. The wind at 1,000 yards was tricky, shifting between 5 and 8 miles per hour from the left with occasional gusts that sent the range flags dancing. Temperature was stable, but the afternoon sun was beginning to create heat mirage that would affect target clarity through the scope. These were the conditions that tested even experienced military snipers. Emma's range card for 1,000 yards was even more detailed than her 500-yard calculations. She had wind values computed for different velocities and directions, temperature corrections for various conditions, and what appeared to be complex mathematical formulas for calculating bullet drop and drift. But the real test wasn't her theoretical preparation. It was whether she could translate all that mathematics into consistent hits on a target the size of a dinner plate at nearly 2/3 of a mile. Her first shot at the extended distance took longer to set up. Emma spent additional time studying the wind flags and making scope adjustments, her movements deliberate and unhurried. When she finally fired, the report of her rifle seemed to hang in the air longer before the distinctive sound of bullet impact reached the firing line. "Hit," announced the range officer. 9 ring, 3 o'clock. It was a solid shot, though not centered. The 9 ring at 1,000 yards still represented precision that many shooters couldn't achieve consistently. Emma made a small adjustment to her scope and prepared for her second shot. This time, the bullet found the center of the target with authority. "X ring, dead center," the range officer called out, and for the first time some of the observers began to take serious notice. Emma's third, fourth, and fifth shots continued the pattern. 3 more hits in the center ring, with grouping that was beginning to look less like good luck and more like genuine skill. When the target was retrieved and measured, the 5-shot group covered less than 4 inches, performance that would be respectable for any military sniper. "Okay, I'll admit it," Sullivan said, examining the target with new interest. "That's some pretty solid shooting. Your rifle might look homemade, but it sure performs." Emma was cleaning her rifle when Master Chief Harrison approached with a different kind of attention than he'd shown earlier. The dismissive attitude had been replaced by professional curiosity. "Miss Chen, that's impressive work at 1,000 yards, Harrison said. But I'm curious about something. Your paperwork mentions potential special operations applications. In our world, 1,000 yards is just the beginning. We regularly engage targets at distances exceeding 1,500 meters, often under conditions that would make today's shooting look like a calm day at the office." Emma looked up from her cleaning routine, her expression thoughtful. "What's the longest shot you've made in combat, Master Chief?" Harrison's answer came without hesitation. 2,100 meters. Taliban commander in Afghanistan. Took 3 shots in shifting wind conditions. The distance was impressive, representing the kind of extreme range engagement that separated legendary snipers from merely excellent ones. Emma nodded with what appeared to be genuine respect. "That's exceptional shooting under combat stress," she said. "The ballistic calculations alone would be incredibly complex, especially with target movement and environmental variables." "It wasn't about calculations," Thompson interjected. "It was about experience, instinct, and the ability to read conditions that aren't in any textbook." Emma's response was carefully diplomatic. "I don't disagree. Practical experience is irreplaceable. But I wonder if mathematical modeling might complement that experience, especially at extreme distances where intuition becomes more difficult." The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, the officer in charge of the Advanced Training Program. Mitchell had a reputation throughout naval special warfare as someone who combined operational experience with a keen understanding of emerging technologies and training methodologies. I've been hearing interesting reports about our civilian contractor, Mitchell said, her tone suggesting she'd been monitoring the situation. Master Chief, what's your assessment? Harrison's response was characteristically direct. She can shoot, ma'am. Solid fundamentals. Good equipment. Respectable accuracy at distance. But we haven't seen anything that suggests capabilities beyond what we'd expect from a dedicated civilian competitor. Mitchell nodded, but her attention was focused on Emma's rifle, which was still partially disassembled for cleaning. Like the others, she'd initially dismissed it as amateur construction, but closer examination revealed sophisticated engineering and attention to detail that suggested serious investment in performance. Miss Chen, I understand you've been working on ballistic modeling for defense applications, Mitchell said. What kind of distances are you modeling for? Emma's answer was quiet but confident. My current research focuses on precision engagement at distances exceeding 3,000 meters under varying environmental conditions. The number hung in the air like a challenge. 3,000 meters, nearly 2 miles, represented a distance that pushed beyond the practical limits of conventional precision shooting. At that range, bullet flight time exceeded 6 seconds, during which wind conditions could change dramatically. The mathematical complexity of such calculations would require computer modeling and environmental data that went far beyond traditional field techniques. Ma'am, with respect, Thompson said, 3,000 meters is theoretical territory. The longest confirmed kill in military history is under 3,500 meters, and that was with specialized equipment under perfect conditions. Emma nodded acknowledgement of the point, but her response suggested she understood the implications better than anyone realized. You're absolutely right, she said. That's why I've been developing new approaches to environmental prediction and trajectory calculation. The mathematics become exponentially more complex as distance increases, but computer modeling can account for variables that would be impossible to calculate manually. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell's interest was clearly piqued. The Navy had been investing heavily in next-generation precision engagement systems, including research into extreme-range capabilities that could provide tactical advantages in future conflicts. If Emma's research offered genuine advances in this area, it could represent significant operational value. Miss Chen, I'd like to see a demonstration of your extended-range capabilities, Mitchell said. We have facilities that can accommodate shooting out to 2,500 meters. Would you be willing to attempt precision engagement at that distance? The suggestion created a stir among the observers. 2,500 meters, over 1.5 miles, was a distance where most precision rifles struggled to maintain accuracy, and environmental factors became almost overwhelming. It was the kind of challenge that even experienced military snipers approached with considerable respect. Emma considered the request carefully before responding. I'd be honored to attempt such a demonstration, ma'am. However, I should mention that my rifle was specifically designed for extreme-range work. At 2,500 meters, the performance characteristics become very different from conventional precision shooting. Her qualification suggested awareness of the challenges involved, but also confidence that her equipment and techniques could meet them. The SEALs exchanged glances that carried new levels of interest and skepticism. Ma'am, if I may, Master Chief Harrison interjected. 2,500 meters is serious distance. Environmental conditions would need to be carefully monitored, and we'd want to ensure proper safety protocols for such an extended range. Mitchell nodded agreement. Absolutely. We'll schedule it for tomorrow morning, when conditions are typically most stable. Miss Chen, will you need any special equipment or environmental data? Emma's response revealed the depth of her preparation. I have portable weather monitoring equipment that can provide the environmental data I need. The primary requirement would be accurate range measurement and a suitable target system. As the group began to disperse, the SEALs found themselves looking at Emma with new attention. The quiet mathematician who had appeared that morning with a homemade rifle was presenting challenges to their assumptions about precision shooting and the relationship between theoretical knowledge and practical capability. Thompson approached Emma as she packed her equipment, his manner more respectful than it had been earlier in the day. Chen, I've got to ask, he said. Where did you learn to shoot like that? You've got fundamentals that take years to develop, but you don't have the background we usually see in precision shooters. Emma's response was characteristically modest. My father was a competitive shooter in Taiwan before my family immigrated. He taught me the basics when I was young, but most of my development has been self-directed research and practice. The answer raised more questions than it answered. Self-taught shooters rarely achieved the level of precision Emma had demonstrated, especially without access to military training and advanced coaching. Her technical knowledge was clearly extensive, but the gap between theoretical understanding and practical application usually took years to bridge. "What kind of practice?" Sullivan asked, genuinely curious about her training methodology. Emma smiled for the first time that day, an expression that suggested fond memories. "My father owns a machine shop in California. We built a 1,000-yard range on family property in the mountains. I've been shooting there regularly for about 15 years, working on equipment development and technique refinement." The explanation began to make sense. 15 years of dedicated practice, combined with access to precision machining equipment and the mathematical background to understand ballistic theory, could indeed produce the capabilities Emma was demonstrating. But tomorrow's test at 2,500 meters would reveal whether her claims about extreme range precision were genuine or elaborate overconfidence. As Emma loaded her equipment into a modest sedan that looked distinctly out of place among the military vehicles in the parking lot, Master Chief Harrison found himself reconsidering his initial assessment. The woman who had arrived that morning as a curiosity was leaving as a puzzle that would require tomorrow's demonstration to solve. The evening sun cast long shadows across the Naval Special Warfare Facility as Emma drove away, her strange rifle secure in its custom case and her mathematical models ready for the most challenging test of her career. Behind her, the SEALs who had laughed at her toy gun were beginning to wonder if they had seriously underestimated what mathematics, dedication, and 15 years of methodical practice could accomplish. Tomorrow would provide answers to questions that none of them had expected to be asking when the day began. The morning air at Coronado carried the salt tang of the Pacific Ocean, and the promise of conditions that would either validate Emma Chen's extraordinary claims or expose them as elaborate fantasy. At 0530 hours, the Advanced Range Facility was already bustling with activity, as technicians prepared equipment for what had become the most anticipated shooting demonstration in the facility's history. Word had spread through the special operations community like wildfire through dry brush. The civilian contractor with the homemade rifle was going to attempt precision engagement at 2,500 meters, a distance that challenged even the most sophisticated military weapons systems. By dawn, observers from multiple units had gathered, including instructors from the Army's Special Operations Target Interdiction Course and Marine Corps Scout Sniper School. Emma arrived precisely at 0600 hours, her modest sedan pulling into the parking lot beside a collection of military vehicles that represented some of the most elite units in the American Armed Forces. She emerged carrying the same worn equipment cases and displaying the same calm demeanor that had characterized her previous day's performance, but the stakes had escalated dramatically overnight. Master Chief Harrison met her at the range office, his expression carrying the weight of responsibility for an event that had attracted attention from senior leadership throughout Naval Special Warfare Command. General Patricia Hayes herself had called the previous evening, expressing personal interest in the demonstration and requesting detailed documentation of Emma's performance. "Miss Chen, I want to be clear about what we're attempting today," Harrison began, his tone formal and serious. 2,500 meters represents extreme range precision shooting that pushes beyond the practical limits of conventional equipment and techniques. We've had teams spend weeks preparing for shots at this distance, using the finest military weapons and most advanced targeting systems available. Emma nodded respectfully while unpacking her portable weather monitoring equipment, a compact electronic system that looked more sophisticated than anything the military shooters had seen in civilian hands. The device began immediately collecting data on wind speed and direction at multiple altitudes, barometric pressure, temperature, humidity, and atmospheric density. "I understand the challenges, Master Chief," Emma replied quietly. "The ballistic complexity increases exponentially at this distance. Environmental factors that are manageable at 1,000 meters become dominant variables at 2,500. Her technical language impressed the observers, but Lieutenant Commander Mitchell was more interested in practical capability than theoretical knowledge. The demonstration had been carefully structured to provide definitive assessment of Emma's claims while maintaining rigorous safety protocols and documentation standards. "The target system has been positioned at precisely 2,487 meters, Mitchell announced to the gathered observers. "Electronic scoring will provide exact measurement of shot placement, and we have high-speed cameras positioned to record bullet impact. Weather monitoring stations along the range will track environmental conditions throughout the engagement. The target itself was impressive. A steel plate measuring 24 inches square, positioned on a hillside that provided clear sight lines and safe backstop for the extreme range shooting. At nearly 2.5 miles, the target appeared as a tiny speck even through high-power spotting scopes, requiring electronic magnification for observers to track shot placement. Chief Petty Officer Thompson had arrived early to study the range conditions and familiarize himself with the equipment that would be used for spotting and target confirmation. His respect for Emma had grown since the previous day's performance, but 2,500 meters represented a quantum leap in difficulty that he wasn't certain any civilian could manage. "Chen, have you ever actually shot at this distance before?" Thompson asked directly, his tone carrying professional curiosity rather than the dismissive skepticism of their first meeting. Emma's response was characteristically honest. "Not exactly this distance. My family range extends to about 1,800 meters. Beyond that, I've been working with computer simulations and mathematical models to predict performance." The admission created a stir among the observers. She was attempting to make one of the longest precision shots in military history, based primarily on theoretical calculations rather than practical experience. It was either remarkable confidence in her mathematical models or dangerous overconfidence in untested theories. Staff Sergeant Sullivan, who had spent the evening researching extreme-range shooting records, provided context that highlighted the magnitude of the attempt. The longest confirmed precision shot in military history is 3,540 meters, made by a Canadian sniper in Afghanistan using a specialized .50 caliber system under ideal conditions. What we're attempting today would rank among the top 10 longest precision shots ever documented. Emma was assembling her rifle with the same methodical precision she demonstrated the previous day, but the observers noticed additional equipment that hadn't been present during the shorter-range demonstrations. A small tablet computer was connected to her weather monitoring system, running software that appeared to be performing complex real-time calculations based on environmental data. "Is that a ballistic computer?" asked Captain James Rodriguez, the commanding officer of a West Coast SEAL team who had driven down specifically to observe the demonstration. Emma looked up from her preparations, her expression suggesting mild surprise at the technical accuracy of the question. "It's custom software I developed for extreme-range trajectory calculation. It integrates environmental data with ballistic coefficients and performs Monte Carlo analysis to predict shot placement probability under varying conditions." The technical sophistication of her approach was becoming increasingly apparent. While military snipers relied primarily on field-tested techniques and experienced judgment, Emma was applying computational methods that could theoretically account for variables too complex for manual calculation. Master Chief Harrison had positioned himself with the primary spotting scope, a high-magnification system that would allow him to observe bullet impact and provide immediate feedback on shot placement. The electronic target system would provide precise measurements, but visual confirmation remained essential for understanding the practical aspects of Emma's shooting technique. "Miss Chen, when you're ready, we'll begin with environmental assessment and final calculations," Harrison announced formally. "Take whatever time you need for preparation." Emma's preparation process was unlike anything the military observers had witnessed. While conventional precision shooters relied on range cards with pre-calculated data and field techniques for estimating environmental conditions, Emma was conducting what amounted to a scientific experiment in real-time ballistic prediction. Her weather monitoring system had been collecting data for 30 minutes, building a comprehensive picture of atmospheric conditions along the entire 2,500-meter flight path. The software on her tablet was processing this information against mathematical models that accounted for bullet drag, wind deflection, atmospheric density variations, and even the Coriolis effect caused by the Earth's rotation. Current conditions show variable wind from southeast at 8 to 12 miles per hour, with gusts to 15, Emma announced to the spotting team. Barometric pressure is 30.15 inches and falling slowly. Temperature is 72 degrees Fahrenheit, with minimal heat mirage expected. Her environmental assessment was more detailed than most military shooters would consider necessary, but the observers recognized that at extreme range, factors that were negligible at shorter distances could significantly affect bullet trajectory. The mathematical calculations Emma performed on her tablet took nearly 10 minutes to complete. The software was apparently running multiple scenarios, accounting for uncertainty in environmental measurements and variations in ammunition performance. When she finally looked up from the computer, her expression carried quiet confidence, mixed with acknowledgement of the challenge ahead. Calculated point of aim is 47, 3 inches high and 31, 8 inches right of target center, Emma announced. Estimated flight time is 4.2 seconds, with probability of first shot hit at 73% based on current environmental conditions. The precision of her calculations impressed the observers, but Lieutenant Commander Mitchell was more interested in results than methodology. "Miss Chen, the range is clear and conditions are stable. You may commence firing when ready." Emma settled into her shooting position with movements that had become familiar to the observers. Prone position behind her custom rifle, body alignment optimized for stability and consistency. But at 2,500 meters, even minor variations in technique could result in misses measured in feet rather than inches. Her sight picture acquisition took longer than previous demonstrations, requiring careful adjustment of both elevation and windage settings on her scope. The mathematical precision of her calculations meant nothing if she couldn't translate them into accurate mechanical adjustments and consistent shooting technique. The first shot at extreme range was always the most critical. It would either validate her theoretical approach or reveal fundamental flaws in her understanding of long-range ballistics. Emma's breathing pattern shifted to the controlled rhythm that characterized precision shooting, but the extended range meant even longer periods of absolute stillness while acquiring the perfect sight picture. When she finally pressed the trigger, the report of her rifle seemed almost anticlimactic after the extended preparation. The bullet began its journey across nearly 2.5 miles of California morning air, subject to every environmental variable that Emma's calculations had attempted to predict and compensate for. The flight time at extreme range meant a significant delay between trigger press and target impact. 4 seconds stretched like an eternity as the observers waited for confirmation of shot placement. Master Chief Harrison maintained his position behind the spotting scope, scanning the target area for any indication of bullet impact. "No impact observed on target," Harrison announced after studying the steel plate for several seconds, checking the surrounding area for indications. The first shot had missed, but at extreme range, even a miss could provide valuable information about the accuracy of ballistic calculations and the need for adjustments. Emma was already consulting her tablet computer, comparing predicted trajectory with the observed results. "Impact approximately 2 feet low and 1 foot left of target," came the report from the electronic scoring system, which used acoustic sensors to detect bullet strikes in the general target area. Emma made rapid calculations on her tablet, her expression focused but not discouraged. A miss of 3 feet at 2,500 meters represented impressive accuracy for a first shot, and the data provided crucial information for refining her ballistic predictions. "Environmental conditions have shifted slightly," Emma announced to the spotting team. "Wind has increased to consistent 10 miles per hour from southeast, adjusting point of aim to compensate." Her second shot preparation was more rapid than the first, benefiting from the environmental data and trajectory validation provided by the initial attempt. The observers could see her making scope adjustments based on precise calculations rather than the educated guessing that characterized most extreme range shooting. The second shot followed the same careful preparation and controlled execution, but Emma's confidence appeared higher as she settled into her shooting position. The mathematical feedback from her first attempt had validated her ballistic models and provided the data necessary for more accurate prediction. This time, the 4-second flight time ended with a distinctive metallic ring that carried clearly across the 2,500-meter range. Master Chief Harrison's confirmation was immediate and definitive. "Target hit, center mass," Harrison announced, his voice carrying new respect for Emma's capabilities. "Clean impact on the steel plate." The electronic scoring system provided precise measurement within seconds. "Impact 6, 2 inches right of center, 3, 1 inch high. Dot score. 8 ring hit at 2,487 meters. The result created a stir among the observers. An 8-ring hit at nearly 2.5 miles represented shooting that would be respectable for any military sniper, achieved by a civilian contractor using homemade equipment and mathematical calculations rather than years of combat experience. Captain Rodriguez approached Emma's position with obvious interest. "Miss Chen, that was exceptional shooting. The precision of your ballistic calculations is unlike anything we typically see in field conditions." Emma was already preparing for her third shot, her focus remaining on the technical aspects of extreme-range precision rather than the growing attention from military leadership. "Thank you, sir. The mathematical models appear to be accurately predicting trajectory within acceptable parameters." Her clinical approach to what others viewed as remarkable achievement suggested a level of confidence in her methods that went beyond hope or luck. Emma was treating the extreme-range shooting as an engineering problem with mathematical solutions rather than an artistic endeavor requiring intuitive skill. The third shot benefited from even better environmental data and refined ballistic calculations. Emma's tablet computer was continuously updating its predictions based on observed results and changing atmospheric conditions. Her scope adjustments were becoming more precise with each shot as the mathematical models converged on optimal solutions. When the third bullet impacted the steel target with another clear ring, the electronic scoring confirmed what the observers were beginning to accept as a new standard of precision shooting. Impact 2, 1 inch left of center, 4. 7 inches high. Score, 9 ring hit at 2,487 meters. 3 shots, 2 solid hits on a 24-inch target at nearly 2.5 miles. The performance was beginning to attract attention that extended beyond mere curiosity about civilian capabilities. Emma was demonstrating precision shooting techniques that could have genuine operational applications for military snipers. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell was already considering the implications of Emma's success. If mathematical modeling could supplement traditional shooting techniques at extreme range, it might represent a significant advance in special operations capabilities. The precision she was achieving could enable engagement of high-value targets at distances that would provide strategic advantages in future conflicts. "Miss Chen, I'd like to see your consistency at this range," Mitchell announced. "Can you engage multiple targets or maintain this level of accuracy over an extended shooting session?" Emma looked up from her preparations for the fourth shot, her expression thoughtful. "I can maintain accuracy as long as environmental conditions remain stable and my ammunition performance stays consistent. The mathematical models account for most variables, but extreme range amplifies any inconsistencies in equipment or technique." Her honest assessment of limitations impressed the military observers. Most civilians making extraordinary claims would overstate their capabilities, but Emma was providing realistic evaluation of her methods and their practical constraints. The fourth and fifth shots continued the pattern of precision that was redefining what the observers believed possible for civilian shooters. Both bullets found the steel target with solid impacts, the electronic scoring confirming hit placement within the 9-ring for both shots. Final group measurement: 5 shots, 4 hits on target. Average distance from center 4. 3 inches at 2,487 meters, announced the range officer. This represents precision shooting performance that exceeds most military standards at this distance. The formal assessment carried implications that extended far beyond individual achievement. Emma had demonstrated capabilities that challenged fundamental assumptions about the relationship between mathematical theory and practical shooting skills. Her success suggested that computational approaches might enhance traditional military training rather than replace it. Master Chief Harrison was studying the target through his spotting scope when he noticed something that made him call for high-magnification photography of the impact points. The 4 hits on the steel plate showed a pattern that suggested even greater precision than the electronic measurements indicated. "The impact pattern shows excellent consistency in both elevation and windage," Harrison reported. "This isn't random accuracy. It's systematic precision that indicates genuine mastery of ballistic calculation at extreme range." Emma was packing her equipment with the same methodical attention to detail she demonstrated throughout the morning, but the observers could see subtle signs of satisfaction in her demeanor. The mathematical theory she developed over years of research and practice had been validated under the most demanding conditions possible. Staff Sergeant Sullivan approached her position with questions that reflected growing military interest in her methods. "Chen, would your computational approach work with military weapon systems? Could we integrate your ballistic modeling software with existing sniper rifles?" Emma's response revealed the depth of her research and its potential applications. The mathematical principles are universal, but implementation would require specific ballistic data for each weapon system and ammunition type. The software could be adapted for military use, but it would need extensive testing and validation. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Colonel David Matthews, commanding officer of the Naval Special Warfare Training Facility. Matthews had driven from his office at headquarters after receiving reports about the morning's demonstration that challenged his understanding of precision shooting capabilities. "Miss Chen, I've been following reports of your performance this morning," Colonel Matthews began, his tone carrying the authority of someone accustomed to making decisions that affected national security. "What I'm hearing suggests capabilities that could significantly enhance our special operations effectiveness." Emma stood at attention when addressing the senior officer, her military bearing suggesting more familiarity with command structure than her civilian status would indicate. "Sir, I believe mathematical modeling can complement traditional shooting techniques, especially at extreme ranges where environmental factors become dominant variables." Matthews studied Emma with the assessment skills developed through decades of evaluating personnel under challenging conditions. What he saw was a young woman who had demonstrated exceptional technical capability while maintaining appropriate military courtesy and realistic assessment of her method's limitations. "Miss Chen, I understand you hold a PhD in mathematics from MIT," Matthews continued. "What's your current employment status, and would you be interested in consulting opportunities with Naval Special Warfare Command?" The question created immediate tension among the observers. Emma's demonstration had moved beyond academic curiosity to potential recruitment for sensitive military applications. Her response would determine whether her mathematical approaches might become available for operational use or remain in civilian research. Emma's answer was careful and diplomatic. "Sir, I currently work as an independent contractor for several defense companies, focusing on ballistic modeling and precision engagement research. I would be honored to discuss potential collaboration with Naval Special Warfare, subject to appropriate security clearance and legal review." Colonel Matthews nodded with satisfaction. The response suggested professional capability combined with appropriate caution about security implications. Emma's mathematical approaches could represent significant advances in military precision shooting, but implementation would require careful integration with existing training and operational procedures. "Master Chief Harrison, I want detailed documentation of today's demonstration forwarded to Naval Special Warfare Development Group," Matthews ordered. "Include technical specifications of Miss Chen's equipment and methodology, along with recommendations for potential integration with our advanced training programs." The formal recognition represented a dramatic shift from the previous day's skepticism. Emma's homemade rifle and mathematical calculations had earned serious consideration from the highest levels of military leadership, suggesting that her theoretical approaches might soon find practical application in special operations. As the demonstration concluded and observers began to disperse, the SEALs who had initially dismissed Emma's capabilities found themselves reconsidering fundamental assumptions about precision shooting and the value of computational approaches. Chief Thompson approached Emma as she finished packing her equipment. "Chen, I owe you an apology," Thompson said directly. "Yesterday, I thought your rifle was a toy and your theories were academic nonsense. What you've demonstrated today challenges everything I thought I knew about extreme-range shooting." Emma's response carried the same quiet dignity she'd maintained throughout the previous 2 days. "Chief, your skepticism was completely reasonable based on available information. Military experience provides insights that mathematical theory alone cannot replace. I hope my work might complement your capabilities, rather than challenge them." The gracious response impressed Thompson and reinforced his growing respect for Emma's character, as well as her technical abilities. She had achieved remarkable success while maintaining humility and respect for military experience, suggesting personality traits that would be valuable in collaborative development of advanced shooting techniques. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell was reviewing the formal documentation of Emma's performance when she noticed details that elevated the morning's achievement beyond impressive individual capability. The consistency of Emma's mathematical predictions, the precision of her environmental assessment, and the accuracy of her ballistic calculations suggested systematic approaches that could be taught and replicated. "Miss Chen, would you be willing to provide technical briefings on your methodology?" Mitchell asked. "We have advanced students who might benefit from understanding the mathematical principles underlying your approach." Emma's affirmative response opened possibilities for knowledge transfer that could enhance military training programs. Her willingness to share technical information suggested genuine interest in supporting military capabilities, rather than protecting proprietary advantages for commercial benefit. As Emma drove away from the Naval Special Warfare Facility for the second time, her modest sedan now carried the attention and respect of some of the most elite military personnel in the world. The mathematical theory she'd developed in her father's machine shop had been validated under the most demanding conditions, earning recognition that would soon lead to opportunities she had never imagined. Behind her, the facility buzzed with discussions about the implications of her demonstration. The civilian contractor with the toy gun had achieved precision shooting performance that exceeded most military standards, using methods that challenged traditional approaches to extreme-range engagement. Her success suggested that the future of military precision shooting might lie in the integration of mathematical modeling with field-tested techniques. The morning's demonstration had transformed Emma from a curiosity into a consultant, from a theoretical researcher into a practical contributor to military capabilities. But the full implications of her achievement were only beginning to unfold, as word of her performance spread through special operations communities and attracted attention from levels of military leadership that would soon change her life completely. The encrypted phone call came at 0347 hours, piercing through Emma Chen's sleep with the urgency that characterized communications from the Pentagon's most classified programs. 3 days had passed since her demonstration at Coronado, 3 days during which her name had circulated through intelligence channels that operated far above the level of conventional military training. "Miss Chen, this is General Patricia Hayes, Naval Special Warfare Command." The voice carried authority that commanded immediate attention despite the early hour. "I need you at the Pentagon within 12 hours for a briefing that involves national security implications of the highest classification level." Emma's response was immediate and professional, despite being awakened from deep sleep. "Yes, ma'am. Should I bring my equipment and research materials?" "Everything," Hayes replied tersely. "And Miss Chen, you should know that your demonstration has attracted attention from the Director of National Intelligence." This conversation never happened. The line went dead, leaving Emma staring at her phone in the darkness of her modest apartment. Within minutes, she was moving with the efficiency of someone who understood that when the Pentagon called at 0347 hours, the world had shifted in ways that demanded immediate response. By 0600 hours, Emma was aboard a military transport aircraft that had been diverted specifically to collect her and her equipment. The flight manifest listed her as a technical consultant, but the presence of armed security personnel and classified communications equipment suggested involvement in operations that transcended routine consulting arrangements. The Pentagon briefing room was unlike anything Emma had experienced during her previous defense contractor work. Located deep within the building's most secure levels, the facility was designed for discussions that could not risk any possibility of surveillance or disclosure. When she entered at precisely 1,400 hours, the assembled personnel represented the highest levels of American military and intelligence leadership. General Hayes performed introductions that revealed the extraordinary scope of the situation. Director of National Intelligence Sarah Coleman occupied the head of the table, flanked by the commanding officers of Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, and the Army's intelligence support activity. The presence of such leadership suggested operational requirements that extended far beyond training enhancement or equipment development. "Miss Chen, 72 hours ago, your performance at Coronado was witnessed by observers who immediately recognized applications for a developing situation." Director Coleman began without preamble. "What I'm about to share with you is classified at levels that require your complete commitment to operational security." Emma's affirmative response triggered the activation of additional security protocols and the presentation of intelligence materials that transformed her understanding of why her mathematical research had attracted such urgent attention. The situation briefing revealed details of an international crisis that had been developing in complete secrecy for the previous 6 months. A high-value target with critical intelligence about terrorist operations had been located in a compound that presented unique challenges for conventional special operations approaches. The target is located in a fortified position that cannot be approached within 2,800 meters without triggering sophisticated detection systems, explained Colonel Marcus Webb, commanding officer of the Joint Special Operations Command. Standard military precision engagement capabilities are insufficient for reliable neutralization at this distance. Emma studied the tactical maps and satellite imagery that showed the compound's location and defensive arrangements. The mathematical challenges were immediately apparent. 2,800 meters exceeded the practical range of conventional sniper systems, requiring ballistic calculations that pushed beyond established military capabilities. "Ma'am, are you requesting precision engagement of a human target at 2,800 meters?" Emma asked, her voice steady despite the implications of the question. Director Coleman's response was direct and uncompromising. "Miss Chen, the target possesses intelligence that could prevent attacks on American soil that would result in thousands of casualties. Conventional approaches have been deemed impossible due to the compound's defensive measures and political sensitivities of the location." The briefing materials revealed additional complexities that made Emma's mathematical expertise essential rather than merely helpful. Environmental conditions at the target location included altitude effects, variable wind patterns, and temperature fluctuations that would challenge even the most sophisticated ballistic calculations. "The operational window is extremely limited," General Hayes continued. "Satellite intelligence indicates the target will be accessible for precision engagement during a 4-hour period when defensive systems undergo routine maintenance. Weather forecasting suggests acceptable conditions for extreme-range shooting during this time frame." Emma was studying the environmental data when she noticed details that made her mathematical models more critical than anyone had realized. The compound's location and mountainous terrain created atmospheric conditions that would cause significant variations in bullet trajectory, requiring computational analysis that exceeded the capabilities of traditional field techniques. "General, the atmospheric density variations at this altitude and geographic location would create ballistic effects that cannot be calculated manually," Emma observed. "My computer models would be essential for accurate trajectory prediction." Her technical assessment confirmed what the military leadership had suspected. Emma's success at Coronado represented capabilities that were uniquely suited to the operational requirements they faced. Her combination of mathematical expertise and demonstrated precision shooting provided the only viable approach for accomplishing the mission. "Miss Chen, I want to be completely clear about what we're requesting," Director Coleman stated formally. "This would involve direct participation in a classified special operation with international implications. Your mathematical expertise would be essential, but you would also be required to make the precision shot that neutralizes the target." The request transformed Emma from consultant to operator, from theoretical researcher to active participant in a mission that would determine whether critical intelligence could be obtained before terrorist attacks occurred on American soil. Her response would commit her to operational responsibilities that exceeded anything she had previously undertaken. Emma's acceptance was immediate and unconditional. "Ma'am, if my capabilities can contribute to preventing attacks on American citizens, I'm prepared to accept whatever operational role is required." The briefing that followed revealed details of mission planning that had been developing since her demonstration at Coronado. Military planners had been working around the clock to design an operation that would utilize Emma's unique capabilities while providing the support and security necessary for success at extreme range. "The shooting position has been identified at exactly 2,847 meters from the target location," Colonel Webb explained, displaying detailed topographical maps that showed sightlines and environmental factors. "Terrain analysis indicates optimal conditions for precision engagement, but weather windows are extremely limited." Emma studied the mission materials with the analytical approach that characterized her mathematical research, but the implications of direct operational involvement were beginning to register. She would be responsible for a precision shot that could determine the success or failure of an operation with national security consequences. "Colonel, what support personnel would be available for environmental monitoring and target confirmation?" Emma asked, her questions reflecting understanding of the operational complexities involved. The response revealed the extent to which military resources were being committed to ensure mission success. A complete special operations team would provide security, communications, and technical support, while advanced surveillance systems would monitor environmental conditions and target movement in real time. "Miss Chen, you would be accompanied by Master Chief Harrison and Chief Thompson from Coronado, along with a full special operations support team," General Hayes explained. "Your role would be technical specialist and precision shooter, with complete operational authority over ballistic calculations and engagement decisions." The inclusion of familiar personnel from Coronado provided professional continuity, but Emma recognized that operational success would depend primarily on her mathematical models and shooting capabilities. The margin for error at 2,847 meters was virtually non-existent, requiring performance that exceeded even her demonstration at the naval facility. Director Coleman presented the final element of the mission briefing that revealed the full scope of what Emma was being asked to undertake. Miss Chen, intelligence analysis indicates this target possesses information about coordinated attacks planned for major American cities within the next 2 weeks. Conventional intelligence gathering has failed, and this represents our only opportunity to obtain the information necessary to prevent potentially catastrophic casualties. The stakes transformed Emma's decision from professional opportunity to moral imperative. Her mathematical research and precision shooting capabilities had evolved from academic interest to essential tools for protecting American lives. The weight of responsibility was unlike anything she had experienced, but her response reflected the same quiet confidence that had characterized her performance at Coronado. "Ma'am, when do we deploy?" Emma asked simply. The operational timeline revealed the urgency that had driven the Pentagon's unprecedented decision to utilize civilian expertise in a classified special operation. Deployment would occur within 36 hours, providing minimal time for final preparations and equipment verification. Emma's equipment requirements were unlike anything military logistics had previously accommodated. Her custom rifle and ballistic computer represented unique capabilities that could not be replaced by standard military systems, requiring special transportation and security protocols to ensure operational readiness. Ms. Chen, we've prepared a complete technical support package that includes backup equipment and enhanced computational resources, explained Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Martinez, the mission's technical coordinator. Your ballistic modeling software has been installed on military-grade computers with satellite communication capabilities for real-time environmental data. The technical preparations revealed the extent to which military resources were being devoted to ensuring Emma's success. Her mathematical approaches were being integrated with the most advanced military technology available, creating computational capabilities that exceeded anything she had previously utilized. As the briefing concluded, Emma found herself committed to an operation that would either validate her life's work or expose its limitations under the most demanding conditions possible. The mathematical theories developed in her father's machine shop would be tested in circumstances where failure could result in terrorist attacks on American soil. General Hayes approached Emma as the briefing participants began to disperse, her expression carrying both confidence and concern for the extraordinary responsibilities being placed on civilian shoulders. Ms. Chen, I want you to understand that this mission represents unprecedented integration of civilian expertise with military special operations, Hayes said directly. Your success at Coronado demonstrated capabilities we need, but operational conditions will be far more challenging than anything you've previously encountered. Emma's response reflected understanding of the implications, while maintaining the quiet confidence that had impressed military leadership. General, I recognize the differences between training demonstrations and operational requirements. My mathematical models and equipment have been designed for exactly these conditions, but I understand that operational success requires performance beyond theoretical calculations. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Master Chief Harrison, who had been recalled from Coronado specifically to serve as Emma's operational partner. His presence provided professional continuity and tactical expertise that would be essential for mission success. Ma'am, I've reviewed the mission parameters and environmental data, Harrison reported to General Hayes. The shooting conditions will be extremely challenging, but Ms. Chen's demonstrated capabilities at Coronado suggest genuine potential for success at the required range. His professional assessment carried weight that influenced final approval for the operation. Harrison's reputation for tactical excellence and conservative evaluation of risk meant that his endorsement of Emma's capabilities provided crucial validation for the unprecedented decision to utilize civilian expertise in classified operations. The final mission briefing revealed details that Emma would carry with her through the most challenging period of her life: the target's location, the environmental conditions, the political implications, and the time constraints that would determine whether her mathematical research could contribute to preventing terrorist attacks on American citizens. As Emma prepared to leave the Pentagon for final mission preparations, she carried with her the weight of responsibilities that exceeded anything she had imagined when she first developed interest in precision shooting mathematics. Her custom rifle and ballistic computer had evolved from research tools to essential elements of national security operations. The transformation from civilian contractor to operational specialist represented a journey that would test every aspect of her technical capabilities and personal character. The mathematical theories that had begun as academic curiosity were about to face their ultimate validation in circumstances where American lives depended on precision measured in fractions of inches at nearly 2 miles distance. Director Coleman's final words carried implications that would define Emma's immediate future and potentially her entire career. "Miss Chen, tomorrow you'll either demonstrate that mathematical precision can enhance special operations capabilities, or you'll learn that some challenges exceed the reach of even the most sophisticated theoretical approaches. Either way, your country will be in your debt." The operational deployment that awaited Emma would determine whether her quiet confidence and mathematical expertise could translate into success under conditions that would challenge every assumption about the relationship between theory and practice in precision shooting. The civilian contractor who had impressed Navy SEALs with her toy gun was about to attempt a shot that would either save American lives or demonstrate the limits of computational approaches to human conflict. The mountains of eastern Afghanistan rose like sleeping giants against the pre-dawn sky as Emma Chen made final adjustments to her rifle scope. At 2,847 meters from the target compound, she occupied a concealed position that had taken the Special Operations Team 6 hours to reach under cover of darkness. Her custom rifle lay steady on its bipod, the mathematical calculations that would guide her shot displayed on the tablet computer beside her. Master Chief Harrison monitored environmental conditions through advanced sensors, while Chief Thompson maintained surveillance of the target area through high-powered optics. The precision required for success at this distance exceeded anything attempted in operational conditions, demanding perfect coordination between Emma's mathematical predictions and the tactical expertise of her military support team. "Wind is steady at 11 miles per hour from the northeast," Harrison reported quietly into his communications headset. "Temperature holding at 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Barometric pressure stable at 26.2 inches due to altitude." Emma's ballistic computer processed the environmental data in real time, updating trajectory calculations that accounted for the thin mountain air and complex wind patterns created by the surrounding terrain. At nearly 2 miles distance, factors that would be negligible at shorter ranges became critical variables that could determine mission success or failure. The target had been under surveillance for 18 hours, confirming intelligence reports about his daily routine and the brief window when precision engagement would be possible. Emma studied the compound through her rifle scope, mentally rehearsing the shot sequence that would culminate months of mathematical research and weeks of operational planning. "Target is maintaining predictable pattern," Thompson observed through his spotting scope. "Movement indicates he'll be in the designated engagement zone within the next 15 minutes. The operational timeline was unforgiving. Weather forecasts indicated that current conditions would deteriorate rapidly after sunrise, creating wind patterns that would make precision shooting impossible. Emma had one opportunity to demonstrate whether mathematical precision could translate into operational success under the most demanding conditions imaginable. Her rifle had been carefully zeroed and tested during the previous evening, confirming that her ballistic predictions matched actual performance at extended range. The ammunition had been individually inspected and selected for consistency, ensuring that equipment variables would not compromise the precision required for mission success. "Emma, how are your calculations looking?" Harrison asked, using her first name in recognition of the unique nature of their partnership. Emma's response reflected the confidence that had impressed military leadership since her first demonstration at Coronado. "Mathematical models indicate high probability of first-shot success based on current environmental conditions. All variables are within acceptable parameters for precision engagement." The formal language masked the extraordinary pressure of attempting a shot that would determine whether critical intelligence could be obtained before terrorist attacks occurred on American soil. Emma's academic research had evolved into operational responsibility that exceeded anything she had previously imagined. Thompson's surveillance detected movement within the target compound that indicated the engagement window was opening. "Target is approaching the designated area. We have visual confirmation of identity based on facial recognition analysis." The moment Emma had trained for throughout her life was approaching with the inevitability of sunrise over the Afghan mountains. Her mathematical theories would either prove themselves under operational conditions or demonstrate their limitations when confronted with the realities of precision shooting at extreme range. Emma's final calculations accounted for every variable her research had identified as significant for extreme range precision. Altitude effects on atmospheric density, temperature gradients that could affect bullet trajectory, wind patterns influenced by mountain terrain, and even the Coriolis effect caused by the Earth's rotation during the bullet's 4-second flight time. "Target is in position," Thompson announced with professional calm. "Clear sight picture, no obstructions, optimal lighting conditions." Emma's breathing shifted to the controlled pattern that characterized precision shooting, but the extended range meant maintaining absolute stability for periods that tested even her well-developed technique. The rifle scope's crosshairs settled on a target that appeared impossibly small at nearly 2 miles distance. Her trigger press was a study in controlled precision, developed through years of practice and refined by understanding of the mechanical requirements for consistent accuracy. The rifle's report echoed across the mountain valley, followed by the profound silence that accompanies moments when history pivots on the outcome of a single action. The bullet's flight time at 2,847 meters meant an eternity of waiting, while physics and mathematics determined whether Emma's calculations would prove accurate under operational conditions. Harrison maintained his position behind the spotting scope, scanning the target area for confirmation of impact. "Target down," Thompson announced with professional satisfaction. "Clean hit, immediate incapacitation, mission objectives achieved." The confirmation transformed Emma's theoretical research into operational success that would prevent terrorist attacks and save American lives. Her mathematical models had proven themselves under the most demanding conditions possible, validating years of work and establishing new standards for precision engagement at extreme range. But the mission's success revealed a deeper truth that would reshape how military leadership understood the relationship between civilian expertise and special operations capabilities. Emma's achievement represented more than individual accomplishment. It demonstrated that mathematical precision could enhance military effectiveness in ways that traditional training alone could not provide. The extraction from the operational area required the same careful planning and execution that had characterized the mission approach. Emma's rifle was carefully secured for transport, while the support team collected intelligence materials and prepared for immediate departure from the target vicinity. During the helicopter flight to the forward operating base, Emma reflected on the transformation that had occurred since her first demonstration at Coronado. The civilian contractor who had been dismissed for her toy gun had successfully completed a precision shot that would be studied and remembered throughout military history. General Hayes was waiting at the base when the helicopter landed, her expression carrying satisfaction mixed with profound respect for what Emma had accomplished. The mission's success would be reported to the highest levels of government, confirming that civilian expertise could contribute to national security in unprecedented ways. "Ms. Chen, preliminary intelligence analysis confirms that your precision engagement has provided access to information that will prevent coordinated attacks on 3 major American cities," Hayes reported formally. "Your contribution to this operation represents service to your country that cannot be adequately recognized through conventional channels." Emma's response reflected the same quiet professionalism that had characterized her performance throughout the mission. "General, I'm honored to have contributed to protecting American lives. The success belongs to the entire team that made this operation possible." Quote, "The debriefing that followed revealed the full scope of what Emma's shot had accomplished. Intelligence recovered from the target would enable law enforcement agencies to prevent attacks that could have resulted in thousands of casualties. Her mathematical precision had proven decisive in circumstances where conventional military approaches had been insufficient. But the mission's success created new questions about the future integration of civilian expertise with military special operations. Emma's unique combination of mathematical knowledge and precision shooting represented capabilities that could enhance American military effectiveness, but implementing such integration would require fundamental changes in training and operational procedures. Director Coleman's secure communication from Washington conveyed appreciation from the highest levels of government, while also indicating that Emma's operational success had attracted attention that would reshape her immediate future. "Ms. Chen, your performance has demonstrated capabilities that we need to understand and potentially replicate." Would you consider extended collaboration with special operations development programs? The invitation represented opportunities that Emma had never anticipated when she first began researching ballistic mathematics. Her academic interest had evolved into operational capability that could influence the future of American military precision shooting and special operations training. Master Chief Harrison approached Emma as she prepared to depart the forward operating base, his expression carrying respect that reflected their shared experience under operational conditions. Emma, what you accomplished today will change how we think about precision shooting and the integration of mathematical approaches with field techniques. Emma's response acknowledged the collaborative nature of their success while recognizing the broader implications of her achievement. Master Chief, the mathematical models provided precision, but operational success required your tactical expertise and the team's professional capability. The integration of different approaches created results that neither could have achieved alone. The flight back to the United States provided time for Emma to process the extraordinary transformation that had occurred in her life. The quiet mathematician who had developed ballistic theories in her father's machine shop had successfully completed a mission that prevented terrorist attacks and demonstrated new possibilities for military capability enhancement. Upon landing at Andrews Air Force Base, Emma was met by security personnel who escorted her to a debriefing facility where the full implications of her mission success would be analyzed and documented. Her achievement would influence military training programs and operational procedures for years to come. The final revelation came during her classified debriefing with senior intelligence officials who had been monitoring the operation's development since her first demonstration at Coronado. Emma's success represented more than individual achievement. It validated a new approach to enhancing military capabilities through the integration of civilian scientific expertise. Ms. Chen, your operational success has confirmed what we hoped but couldn't prove, explained Dr. Robert Chen, the Pentagon's Director of Advanced Weapons Research. Mathematical modeling can enhance precision shooting capabilities in ways that traditional training approaches cannot achieve alone. The recognition transformed Emma's status from civilian contractor to essential contributor to national security capabilities. Her mathematical research would become the foundation for advanced training programs that could enhance the effectiveness of military precision shooters throughout the special operations community. As Emma prepared to return to civilian life, she carried with her the knowledge that her quiet research had contributed to preventing terrorist attacks and protecting American lives. The custom rifle that Navy SEALs had initially dismissed as a toy gun had proven capable of precision that exceeded the capabilities of conventional military systems. The transformation was complete. Emma Chen had evolved from misunderstood civilian to essential military asset, from theoretical researcher to operational specialist, who had demonstrated that mathematical precision could enhance human capability in ways that challenged traditional assumptions about the limits of individual achievement. Her story would inspire a new generation of researchers and military professionals to explore the integration of scientific approaches with operational requirements. The quiet mathematician who had endured ridicule for her unconventional methods had proven that innovation often emerges from unexpected sources, and that the most profound advances come from combining different types of expertise in unprecedented ways. The mission's success established Emma as a pioneer in the application of mathematical modeling to military precision shooting, opening pathways for collaboration between civilian researchers and special operations that would enhance American military capabilities for decades to come. Her achievement proved that sometimes the most effective solutions emerge from the intersection of theoretical knowledge and practical application, guided by individuals who refuse to accept conventional limitations on human potential. 6 months after returning from Afghanistan, Emma Chen stood before the largest gathering of special operations personnel in military history. The Naval Special Warfare Auditorium at Coronado had been transformed into a lecture hall, where Emma would present the mathematical breakthrough that had redefined precision shooting forever. The same SEALs who had once laughed at her homemade rifle now filled the front rows with notebooks and recording devices, eager to learn the computational methods that had enabled impossible shots to become routine achievements. Chief Thompson sat in the first row, his expression carrying profound respect for the woman whose quiet theories had revolutionized his understanding of long-range precision. Ladies and gentlemen, what we witnessed in Afghanistan wasn't just individual achievement, Emma began, her voice carrying new confidence earned through operational success. It was proof that human capability can be enhanced through mathematical precision in ways we're only beginning to understand. The presentation screen displayed trajectory calculations that had guided her mission-critical shot, but more importantly, it showed how similar mathematics could enhance the capabilities of every precision shooter in the audience. Emma's research had evolved from personal project to military doctrine that would influence training programs worldwide. Master Chief Harrison occupied a position near the podium where he could observe both Emma's presentation and the audience's reaction. The transformation he'd witnessed over the past year challenged everything he thought he understood about the relationship between theoretical knowledge and practical capability. Emma's demonstration included live-fire exercises that proved her mathematical methods could be taught and replicated. Using standard military rifles equipped with her ballistic computation software, previously average shooters were achieving precision that rivaled the performance of elite snipers. The key insight is that environmental variables at extreme range become too complex for manual calculation, Emma explained, while displaying real-time ballistic modeling. But computational analysis can account for factors that human intuition cannot process quickly enough for tactical application. Staff Sergeant Sullivan raised his hand with a question that reflected the audience's growing understanding of Emma's achievement. "Ma'am, does this mean that mathematical training could replace traditional shooting instruction?" Emma's response demonstrated the wisdom she'd gained through collaboration with military professionals. "Absolutely not, Sergeant. Mathematical precision enhances human capability, but cannot replace the tactical judgment and field experience that characterize elite operators. The most effective approach integrates both methodologies." The answer satisfied military traditionalists, while establishing Emma's computational methods as complementary rather than competitive with established training. Her diplomatic approach ensured acceptance of revolutionary techniques without threatening institutional knowledge. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell announced the formal adoption of Emma's methods into the advanced precision shooting curriculum, representing institutional validation that would influence military training for generations. Ms. Chen's mathematical approaches will be integrated with our existing programs, creating enhanced capabilities that maintain our tactical traditions while expanding operational effectiveness. The announcement triggered enthusiastic applause from an audience that had initially viewed Emma with skepticism. Her journey from dismissed civilian to essential military contributor represented the kind of transformation that inspired others to challenge conventional limitations on human achievement. Emma's personal transformation was equally remarkable. The quiet mathematician who had endured ridicule for her unconventional methods now commanded respect from the most elite military professionals in the world. Her confidence had evolved from theoretical understanding to operational validation earned under the most demanding conditions. During the break following her presentation, Emma was approached by representatives from multiple military branches, seeking to implement her techniques within their own precision shooting programs. The computational methods developed in her father's machine shop were becoming standard tools for enhancing human capability across the entire defense establishment. Colonel Matthews, who had initially questioned Emma's presence at Coronado, now served as one of her strongest advocates within military leadership. "Ms. Chen, your achievement represents more than technical innovation. You've demonstrated that breakthrough capabilities often emerge from unexpected sources and unconventional approaches." Emma's response reflected the humility that had characterized her interactions with military personnel throughout her journey. "Colonel, the success belongs to everyone who was willing to consider new possibilities and integrate different approaches. Innovation requires both technical knowledge and institutional support." The afternoon session included testimonials from operators who had applied Emma's methods during subsequent missions. Their accounts revealed that mathematical precision had enabled successful engagements at distances previously considered impossible, confirming that her techniques provided genuine operational advantages. Captain Rodriguez shared details of a counterterrorism operation where Emma's ballistic modeling had enabled precision engagement that prevented civilian casualties while achieving mission objectives. Ms. Chen's computational methods allowed us to attempt shots that would have been too risky using traditional estimation techniques. The operational testimonials demonstrated that Emma's research had evolved beyond academic theory to practical tools that enhanced military effectiveness while reducing risk to both operators and civilians. Her mathematical precision was saving lives in ways that extended far beyond individual achievement. Emma's final presentation revealed her most ambitious project yet, a comprehensive training program that would integrate mathematical modeling with traditional shooting instruction to create the next generation of precision specialists. The program would establish new standards for extreme-range capability while maintaining the tactical excellence that characterized American special operations. The future of precision shooting lies in the synthesis of human skill and computational enhancement, Emma concluded. Mathematical modeling provides the precision, but human judgment provides the wisdom to apply that precision effectively. General Hayes delivered closing remarks that formally recognized Emma's contribution to American military capability and national security. Ms. Chen has demonstrated that innovation often comes from individuals who approach familiar challenges with fresh perspectives and refuse to accept conventional limitations. The ceremony concluded with the presentation of the Defense Department's highest civilian honor, recognizing Emma's service during the Afghanistan mission and her ongoing contribution to military capability development. The medal ceremony represented official acknowledgement that civilian expertise could provide essential contributions to national defense. As Emma prepared to leave Coronado for the final time as a civilian contractor, she reflected on the extraordinary journey that had transformed her from amateur shooter to military innovator. The custom rifle that had once been dismissed as a toy now occupied a place of honor in the facility's museum, representing the breakthrough that had redefined precision shooting. Master Chief Harrison accompanied Emma to the parking lot, where her modest sedan waited among the military vehicles that had once seemed so intimidating. Their conversation carried the warmth of shared experience and mutual respect earned through operational collaboration. "Emma, what you've accomplished here will influence military training for decades," Harrison said with genuine admiration. "The methods you've developed will enhance the capabilities of thousands of operators, while honoring the traditions that make our community special." Emma's response acknowledged the collaborative nature of her success, while recognizing the broader implications of integrating civilian expertise with military operations. "Master Chief, the real achievement was proving that different approaches can work together to create capabilities that neither could achieve alone." The drive away from Coronado took Emma past the firing ranges where she had first demonstrated her capabilities, and the auditorium where Navy SEALs had initially laughed at her unconventional methods. The transformation of those relationships represented personal validation that complemented her professional achievements. Emma's future included a permanent position as Director of Advanced Ballistic Research for Naval Special Warfare Command, representing the institutionalization of her mathematical approaches within military training and operational procedures. Her quiet research had evolved into essential military capability that would enhance American defense effectiveness. The story of Emma Chen had become legend within special operations communities, inspiring a new generation of researchers and operators to explore innovative approaches to enhancing human capability. Her achievement proved that breakthrough performance often emerges from the intersection of different types of expertise. As Emma settled into her new office at the Pentagon, surrounded by the mathematical equations that had guided her journey from amateur shooter to military innovator, she began planning research projects that would continue pushing the boundaries of human precision. The civilian contractor who had been dismissed for her toy gun had become the architect of military capabilities that would protect American interests worldwide. Her legacy extended beyond technical innovation to demonstrate that respect and recognition must be earned through performance rather than assumed through credentials. Emma's quiet determination and mathematical precision had overcome institutional skepticism while maintaining the humility and professionalism that characterized true expertise. The transformation was complete. Emma Chen had evolved from misunderstood outsider to essential military asset, proving that innovation often comes from unexpected sources and that the most profound advances emerge when different types of knowledge combine to create unprecedented capability. Her story would inspire future generations to challenge conventional limitations and explore new possibilities for human achievement, while demonstrating that the most effective solutions often emerge from the patient application of scientific principles to practical challenges. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.